Welcome to the Pigskin Party Podcast, the only podcast that combines real NFL analysis with a splash of pop culture and a dash of the random. Let's get this Pigskin Party started with your hosts, Brian McFadden and Will Southard.
Welcome back to the PPP. It's time for the flavor of the week. My name is Brian. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening or watching and tell a friend because that is how we grow this Pigskin Party. Joining me, as always, Will Southard, still without a hat. I cannot overstate my disappointment. But Will, how you doing, man?
This is actually a wig. I actually have a really good, solid hairline. So this is a wig to showcase a McDonald's arch for a hairline.
So you went out of your way to choose that McDonald's arch. Okay,
that's right.
I
this
guess
is my Count from Sesame Street wig. That's what I have going on.
So
right
I have to question your taste with that, but to each their own, I guess.
Yep. No, the hats will be back soon. I was on the verge of death last week, so and I have spent all my free money in crypto, so I don't have $7 to go drop on a hat anymore. But
but your crypto's like blowing up, right? You can sell some of that and buy yourself some hats.
We made a pretty fat correction this week. But we're still doing good. So I'm here, and let's do this. Let's do it.
Okay.
We talked about some ramage.
Yeah, our NFL main episode definitely went off the rails a little bit. So usually the flavor of the week is the episode that does something like that. So this should be interesting. We do have one of our guests coming back from the main NFL episode, Cameron Cavilee, who is co-host of the Absurditee Podcast, coming back on for the flavor of the week. Cameron, how you feeling right now, man?
I'm feeling great. And oddly enough, you said off the rails, and that is our version of the flavor of the week for our show.
Nice. See, there's so much synergy here. It's just it's flowing naturally. So yeah, as we mentioned in the main NFL episode, Cameron is a Rams fan, and for the second time, our flavor of the week episode topic will be a team deep dive, and we are doing, surprise, surprise, the Los Angeles Rams. But before we get into that, just like every week on here, we've got to cleanse your palates. We don't want to take you from whatever just happened at the end of the main NFL episode with Ty Dunn, where we tried to talk about the NFL schedule and then just who knows what it ended up being, into more NFL talk. So we're going to do a palate cleanser. And Will actually mentioned a few weeks ago specifically that he was excited about the new Mortal Kombat movie that was coming out. And that he was it was R-rated. It was what a Mortal Kombat movie should be. And I saw it, and I wanted to make the palate cleanser topic a comparison of the new Mortal Kombat from 2021 versus the one from 1995. And Will, I'll start with you because this kind of was your idea originally, saying how excited you are. So now that you've seen Mortal Kombat, how do you like it? How does it compare to the original?
Dude, it's been a minute since I've seen the 1995 Mortal Kombat. But I mean, so I saw it, and it was a thing, and it brought back some memories, but I don't know, dude. I think maybe I'm too old. Like, I was just excited to see a movie. Like, I mean, with COVID, it's just like...
It could have been Mary Poppins 3.
It could have been a lot of things, man. I was just like, oh, wow, a movie, It's like... So, there was all hype to be this super grotesque thing. I think, we didn't get to see the whole cast of characters from Mortal Kombat because pretty obvious that they're setting up a sequel or 3 or however many to that. But I liked it. I mean, I don't think it was some super awesome, like, cinema-changing, award-winning event. But it was a good time for 2 hours on the Thursday or Friday night that we watched it. I don't have a lot of comparisons to draw to the original one. The original one I know got crap reviews, and I remember it being pretty cheesy from back in the day, but I enjoyed that too, man. I'm not a hard one to please when it comes to movies.
How did the amount of gore that you were so excited about, how did that measure up?
It didn't really. Maybe I'm just desensitized to like, the video game version, but like I watched that and I'm like, I don't particularly recall this being any more gore than a regular horror movie would be. Like, I thought a horror movie is more gore than what was in this. Maybe it's just because it's kind of quote unquote cartoony. It didn't really hit me. I don't know. I mean, what did you think?
No, I actually agree with you. It underwhelmed. And here's the comparison I'll make. Think of The Boys. Like, you talk about gore that shocks. Like, The Boys has done that from the start, the show on Amazon Prime. And this didn't really do that. It just, and that's what kind of was the premise is, oh, Mortal Kombat, R rating, HBO Max, we're going to rip people's skulls. I don't know. It was just like, eh. Cameron, I know that you had seen it as well. What are your thoughts?
I kind of feel the same way. I mean, yeah, it was gore-wise definitely underwhelming. I was expecting someone's like skull and spine to get ripped right out of their body, but I mean, it really wasn't at all. I'm not a big fan of introducing the new character that had nothing to do with the game at all.
The main guy, right?
Yeah,
like he was nothing. Like you're like, who is that? I spent so long like trying to figure out who that guy was and why he was relevant.
Yeah, and it didn't make any. I mean, honestly, the first 15 minutes of the movie, I was excited because that was a great opening scene, and then it just kind of underwhelmed after that.
I will agree. The opening scene with Sub-Zero fighting the guy who would become Scorpion, that was cool. Freezing the family, yeah. And that's like, oh, this is going to be... And then I'm just like, I'm not... I like you, Will. It's not that I didn't like it. It was entertaining. And yes, I will admit that the original 1995 was cheesy, and maybe it's a nostalgic thing, but I like that one so much better. I don't know why. It holds up. Maybe it's because I was younger when I saw it, and it was I used to play the game, and I saw the movie. But cheesy or not, there was something a little endearing about that, and something like it's rewatchable. I've watched the original, not in many years, but I have watched it many times throughout the course of my life. I don't see a reason I would ever watch the 2021 version again.
Do you think it's because the 1995 version stuck more to what Mortal Kombat actually is instead of trying to build a story from someone we don't even know?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't even a tournament in the 2021 one.
No.
Right?
No,
right.
Not at all. None.
There was no tournament. How do you not have a tournament in Mortal Kombat?
I do know they're building up for, I think they said 3 more movies.
Wow.
But I mean, the budget for the new one was $55 million, which really isn't a lot when you consider movies. Because I think Endgame was like over $500 million.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you know what's crazy is like the Lord of the Rings show. I think it's a show that Amazon is putting on. $580 million they budgeted for that. Like it's like the world of like I don't. An interesting thing to me,
or as Jeff Bezos calls it, petty cash.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? So I know our Palate Cleanser is about Mortal Kombat, but an interesting ancillary segue topic for me is what is the business case like for Netflix to justify, $100 million on a A-list movie? Like, do they really make that in new business subscriptions for a month? Or is it just the fact that, like, do they think that it just retains subs on a month-to-month basis? I would really, really like to see the business case for companies like Netflix spending that much money on A-list content. Because it's sort of, I mean, I know this Mortal Kombat would be released on HBO. And I mean, I can understand a little more, like, HBO having these, like, exclusive deals with movie theaters and things like that, but it really is kind of strange when you think about a property like Netflix doing that kind of stuff.
Well, and they have so much competition now. For so long they didn't have any, right? So now they've Disney Plus is very, very much cornered the market, and I think at number 2, but Amazon Prime, especially with their content, that they've got Hulu, which I know is owned by Disney, but still Peacock. Yeah, now it's like everybody's got something, and so. Is it a case of, we just have to keep putting out this kind of high-end content and spending this kind of money for production, or else we are going to bleed subscribers because there's alternatives now?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not sure, but I mean, there's some high-quality stuff out there. Shadow and Bone, did we talk about that last week?
You did. You told me multiple times. I started it this morning.
Did you?
So I'm like halfway into the first episode, but I'm like, you know what? I know I'm going to have to talk about this in a future. Did you start with the Shadow,
or did you start with the Bone first thing in the morning?
Well, morning wood. I mean, only one of them makes sense.
Bone, got it.
Bone, yeah. No, but I knew you were really into the show, and I needed a new show to watch because Loki doesn't start until June.
Would you get through one episode?
I didn't even make it. I started it this morning. I got through like 30 minutes, so I'm like halfway through it.
You're confused still.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
Exactly. I think that's how you are until like episode 2 or 3 or whatever, and you're like,
okay,
now I get it.
Cameron, have you seen Shadow and Bone?
I hadn't even heard of it, but I will look it up.
Will was going on and on about it.
It's a universe
Yeah.
where there are like normal people that have a power, a singular power. So like they're called like the fire dudes, or like what are they called, like incineraries or whatever. Like they can make fire, but like other than that, you're not a superhero, right? So you're killable, whatever. But like they're outcasts in society, and they've kind of formed this like their own little realm, like their own little kingdom, and they're like their own little thing, like their own little clique that they have to kind of like stick together, and they're kind of like the posh rich ones that are kind of off, and then there's a war, and they're like plebs. It's just like a whole thing, right? And it's just this it's kind of
It sounds a lot like the plot to Avatar.
Kinda. Except there's not like except they're not blue.
Without the blue creatures.
And there's like
not that Avatar. Not that Avatar. The other Avatar.
The Last Airbender?
Yeah.
Oh. I
the
guess.
anime thing. I don't know much about that.
Yeah. There's not a hot lead chick with a nose ring in Avatar, though, that I'm aware of.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, so I think
Watch
we're all in agreement for Mortal Kombat that it was entertaining.
You wouldn't want to see them remake the Mario Brothers movies. Remember those?
No.
I didn't even want to see the first one.
Yeah.
That's right. It's like, why? Why would you do that?
Awful.
You know, like, it's interesting, though, that all these properties, because when you think about video game narratives, and do you play video games, Cameron, at all?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I saw you
PC
playing
or
Mass
console?
Effect on Discord the other day, so I know.
Yeah, I just downloaded that, by the way, Mass Effect Legendary. I've never played the series in my entire life.
I
it's
played
good.
1 and 2. I never played. I don't know why. I just got away from. So I'm actually going to get Legendary so I can play through all 3.
It's good.
I started with Mass Effect 1, very beginning. So that's a great example, right? Like, there are so many. Marvel and DC have proven that you can make buku money from comic books. Why have video games just, like, I can't think of a video game adaptation that's just kind of, like, been unreally good in, the cinematic universe. And
The Witcher has been, I'd say The Witcher is one of the best ones so far.
That's like a TV show, though.
But that's what I mean. I think these games, they have hundreds of hours of content and gameplay. You can't do it justice with a movie.
Yeah, you can't compress it down to an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Right.
Like, you guys play Horizon Zero Dawn?
I have not.
I have not.
Oh, well.
Not sure I've even heard of it, honestly.
I've heard of it. I've just never played it.
If you have a computer, you need to go play Horizon. It's a game about the, like, civilization is lost, but there are, like, now it's been so advanced that it's kind of reset itself, and there are dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs are robots. So, like, civilization is kind of started over, but instead of, like, dinosaurs being reptiles, they're, like, robot dinosaurs. And, like, humans are, like, cave people that live in this. But, like, the game is you unravel the story of, like, what happened to humanity, right? And, like, where do we go from here, right? It's this girl who sets out on this journey. Some of the best, like, that's one of the best video games of all time. Like, if you've never played that, 100%.
Just on its surface level, that sounds like a game my 7-year-old would come up with. And there's people, and then there's dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs are robots.
It's really good. But my grander point for everybody who's listening to this show and has no idea what the hell I'm talking about is video games for some reason just can't translate. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe they just need to be episodic. But there are so many good stories in the video game universe that could be really profitable, either movie or TV. Like the Warcraft movie did okay for a video game.
But it didn't
adaptation.
go anywhere. There was no sequels. It was decent for a video game movie, but it didn't spawn anything else. It didn't get enough interest. I think you need a longer format. I think maybe the problem with this new Mortal Kombat, tying it back to the original topic, was what Cameron mentioned, that there was like they seemed to be doing lots of world building, but that doesn't make for a good single movie. Maybe after the next 3 come out, it'll be like, oh, that was a great. But right now,
I heard there's a HBO show Mortal Kombat that's really good, and I've never seen it.
What?
But I heard there was like it was either a cartoon or it's something. There's another Mortal Kombat somewhere that's good, and I can't verify that. Maybe that's not true, but when you start talking, I'm gonna look it up to prove myself that I'm not crazy. But I did hear that somewhere. But anyway.
Okay, well, you do that. We're going to wrap up the palate cleanser. I definitely feel cleansed. I certainly feel happier cleansed than I did last week when we had Rich Mileto on talking about how he was recruited by Al-Qaeda for 9/11.
I just listened to that this morning, and I was at a loss for words on that.
So were we. I didn't know how to segue back into football. I'm like it's a good story. I'm glad he told it, but it was just, whew. So the fact that we're talking about video games, much more my speed this week. So I am definitely feeling cleansed. Cameron, how about you? You feeling cleansed, ready to keep going?
I'm cleansed.
All right. And Will, you're drinking something. You look like you're cleansed. Yeah, there you go. So let's move on. Our flavor of the week. There's our I love it. We got a segue sound now. Good job, Anthony. So our NFL flavor of the week topic this week is another team deep dive. As I said, we are going deep on the Los Angeles Rams. We brought Cameron on to give his take as a fan. So Cameron, we'll start first, as I do with all the guests for these team deep dives, asking you, what were your thoughts as a whole on the 2020 season?
Well, I mean, we made it to the playoffs, so that's always a plus. But, and I fully defended Goff pretty much all season up until like the last couple games maybe. And I couldn't stay behind him anymore. I couldn't. He has like little flashes of like.
Neither could the Rams.
Yeah.
So they traded him.
He had like little flashes of, he might be a good QB one day, but then he would like immediately just like tarnish that with just terrible play.
He was, I mean, dude, I just didn't. He was that pick to me that, and Brian knows my stance about going for quarterbacks that you shouldn't go for, but like, he seemed to me a very desperation quarterback pick in that draft. Like, him and Wentz were just both like, seemed like big reaches to me. And like, he played out in the NFL exactly like what I thought he would be when he got drafted. You know? He
needs the perfect condition to be a good quarterback. He needs at least like 4 or 5 seconds in the pocket and his receivers to be wide open in order to do anything.
He's got to have a great running game because after Gurley left, or really after Gurley started declining, defense were able to cue in on that offense, and Goff wasn't the same.
Well, he was predictable because he would stare his receivers down the whole route. Like, they know who you're going to throw to.
Yeah. So I'm guessing my next question is, I was going to ask how you feel about the Matt Stafford trade. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're pretty happy about it.
Oh, I'm pretty happy about it. Stafford's great, just been stuck on a bad team. No offense, Anthony.
Oh, he knows. After the trade was announced, we had Anthony come on, and he just like ranted for a good 7 minutes.
Yeah,
because that's who he grew up with. He grew up with Stafford. But yeah.
I wonder if the dark horse MVP betting lines, I wonder how those changed after the draft. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. Maybe they didn't, but I would be curious because when that trade happened, I mean, there was a lot of money coming in on Stafford being an MVP candidate this year.
He could have been. He should have been an MVP a long time ago.
Yeah,
but the organization doesn't like to give anybody the people that they need to succeed. And
we triggered
Anthony. Why? You did. I am very, very triggered now.
I mean, he turned on the camera. He had to come talk.
Did the Rams get anybody else on? I mean, you still got Woods and Kupp, right?
Yeah, we got
Tutu. They drafted Tutu Atwell, Deshaun Jackson,
D-Jax.
You'll get like 3 games out of D-Jax.
Yeah, what version of him we got? Who knows?
You'll get the 3 TD game one time this year.
But yeah, we still got Woods. We still got Kupp. We got Van Jefferson. We got Tutu. So I mean, we're good on receivers.
Tyler Higbee is a capable tight end.
Oh yeah, we lost Everett though, which is fine. And then we have Johnny Munt, which is pretty good. So I mean,
you got a
he has-
solid defense.
Yeah, we got Cam Akers as running back, so we got a run game. We lost Malcolm Brown, which I'm okay with.
Still
that
got
too.
Darrell Henderson. You still have running back depth there.
Yeah, and we just drafted I think one more running back. Was it one or two?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
They drafted one in like the 4th or 5th round.
What baffles me is they didn't draft what we needed was an O-line. We need backup to O-line because Andrew Whitworth is probably going to be gone next year.
He's 40 now.
Yeah. He's getting old. And I think he actually said this was his last year. I don't know if he full on came out and said that, but he kind of alluded to it. Like he just wanted to do one more.
Yeah, they definitely need depth.
Turning 40 will allude to it being one of your last years.
Yeah. A big guy.
Except in the
like that.
podcast realm. I turned 40 and I started a podcast, so hey, maybe Whitworth can do a podcast after he retires.
Him and Kelvin Benjamin are going to switch positions next year. Andrew Whitworth at tight end, Kelvin Benjamin at friggin' line.
It's a mad, mad world. So here's my next question, Cameron. How do you feel about the Rams' approach to first-round draft picks? In other words, they never used them on draft picks. I think the last time they used a first-round draft pick was on Jared Goff. Like, they have just traded year after year for these various players. You think Jalen Ramsey, Brandon Cooks, and obviously Stafford. So do you like that? Do you like trading these first rounds for established players? Would you like to see them draft a stud, or how do you feel about it?
I'm actually okay with it because I mean, if you look at our good players, they come out of the later rounds. Cam Akers, he was a second rounder, but I mean,
that'll happen if you never draft anybody in the early rounds.
Yeah, but
by default, you have
Les Snead seems to have this talent to snatch some gems out of the 6th round.
I guess if you're doing that on a regular basis as an organization and you're spending those draft picks wisely, which I got to say, I think the Stafford trade was a good one, but you're all in on this team. And I do agree the biggest weakness is the depth at offensive line, and that if they have any injuries along that line, the whole thing comes crumbling down. But as it stands, if you stay healthy, I'm with Will. I think Stafford is a dark horse MVP candidate, and the Rams are a Super Bowl candidate as long as they can stay healthy. Do you think they missed anything? I mean, you kind of already alluded to this during the offseason. Do you think that they should have targeted more O-line depth?
O-line depth and bolstered up that linebacker core. Because we don't have the greatest run defense, unfortunately. And
yeah, once you get past that first level.
Yeah. I mean, which is crazy when you have Aaron Donald taking up 2 to 3 linemen and you don't have the other guys breaking through very well. That's not good. We need some linebackers that can really get through there. And we had a few, but we keep losing them because, we can't keep everybody with giving Donald tons of money.
And you got Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Pay him.
It doesn't matter how much you pay Aaron Donald, it's a deal.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah. There's 3 linemen for the price of 1.
Yeah, seriously, it really doesn't matter. You just name your price.
So as I mentioned, I think that they have Super Bowl aspirations, but I'll turn to you as the Rams fan. What are your predictions for 2021 for the LA Rams?
I want to be optimistic because, I mean...
What are your predictions for the Rams?
Not a good start.
Well, it's just, I mean, I think we'll do well. I want to say, okay, so 17. I got to remember the 17 game.
We always got to do the math in our
yeah.
heads with 17 now. It's tricky.
I'll say 13-4.
Okay. Nice.
I think
so you
we
see
can do
them
it.
winning.
Yeah, I think we could with Stafford. I mean, because he's definitely he can stay in the pocket and he can get out of the pocket. That was something Goff couldn't really do that well. And Stafford will take off running if he needs to, and Goff wouldn't do that. There was times I was literally watching him have 20 yards of open field right in front of him, and he would just throw the ball. I'm like, you could have ran that. Instead, you got an incomplete pass or an interception because you didn't want to run it.
He is white.
So is Stafford.
And so is Stafford.
Yeah,
what does white have to do with it? Why you got to bring race into this?
So is John Wolford, and look what he did whenever
That's
Goff went out with the
right.
hand injury. He was running like crazy.
Did you want Wolford to start that playoff game?
Yes. Yes, when I saw
No-
what he could
no
do,
hesitation there.
Yeah, when I saw what he could do over what Goff was doing, yeah, I definitely wanted him there. I will give credit to Goff that he played through a broken thumb. Like that shows some toughness, but it wasn't enough. I don't care how tough you are. We need the W.
Yeah, I think that I don't think I've spoken to anyone who said, "Oh, I don't know, that was a great move." Yes, they traded away a lot, but to get that, McVay feels that he's just a quarterback upgrade away from competing, assuming they can stay healthy. And if there aren't any major injuries, yeah, I tend to agree. So I think your Rams are in a good position. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Anybody have? We're going to have a short flavor of the week episode. Mortal Kombat talk was just like, yeah, Mortal Kombat was okay. The Rams are like, yeah, whatever. It's the Rams. Who wants to fill up some time? Anthony, throw us some sounds here.
This is why you see how much I bounce back and forth on my show. We get through topics so fast.
We don't need that.
See, now I'm pumped up. Now I'm ready to keep going. We don't have a topic, but no, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Cameron, Cavilee, thanks for coming on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your podcast?
Well, I started it with me and my brother back in October of last year. And it was just something I've always wanted to do, so I was like, well, let's just do it. And we actually just picked up a third person to do the show with that I have actually been friends with for quite a while. So he kind of adds a little extra oomph to the show. And yeah, we just have a lot of fun. It's completely unorthodox. There's no rhyme or reason to what we do. We just have fun doing it.
You should just add an extra T on the end of your show, and then just get like a female co-host.
Absurditee?
No, it'd be Absurditee.
Well, I mean, the reason it's spelled with the two E's is because when me and my brother started it, we have the two E's in our last name, so we wanted to change the Y to the two E's. And that's how it
Makes sense.
It's a really good name for a T-shirt company. You realize that, though.
Sell that merch, man.
Absurditee.
You mean this? You mean this T-shirt?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, ideally, you're selling to people that aren't you, right?
Well, ideally, this one. My wife made me this one, so I just kind of
Oh, really?
flaunt it.
There,
when
you've got the labor, you've got the clothing labor there. Your wife has the talent.
I don't know
Get
how
her to
happy
print
she'd
a
be
bunch of
about
shirts.
that.
We need to
Maybe
do
not.
some. We need to do some like official PP Pod like NFTs and sell them for like $60 million because that's the.
Let's do that. That'll fund the show for the rest of the
new
yeah.
thing now.
All right,
So.
that's your homework, Will. Find out how we can do a Pigskin Party Podcast NFT auction and sell it to fund the rest of the show. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe, tell your friends, and leave us one of those 5-star reviews with your feedback. Check us out on Twitter at Official PP Pod. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. If you want to join our Discord community, look for a link in the episode description. Thanks again to Cameron Cavilee, Ty Dunn from the main NFL episode, Anthony and his new sounds, bringing the producer heat. Will, you're fired if you don't wear a hat next week.
I got
Thanks.
one, buddy. I ordered one when we were live. I ordered one.
Smart man. So
It'll be a good one.
tune in next week to see what hat Will is wearing. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week on the PPP.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Pigskin Party Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort. We'll catch you in the next Pigskin Party.